Hey TDF family, it's Allison, one of your TDF admins, here with what's coming up this week at the Daily Fix. But first, I want to send a huge welcome to all of our new members. If you're joining us live, let us know in the chat so we can say hello. If you're catching us on the replay, then just know we see you too. However you're joining us, just know that you're not walking this healing journey alone. So, before we get started, I have a few reminders. One, our TDF local ambassador applications are officially open. So if you're passionate about community and connections, then apply now. We'd love to have you join us in bringing the Daily Fix to life in your city. Next, we have our public session day on February 10th. So spread the word and bring somebody with you to the session. Next, there'll be no session on President's Day, which is February 16th. And then lastly, get ready for TDF After Dark on February 19th. So now, here's what's up for the week at the Daily Fix. Monday and Tuesday, we have sessions led by Coach Brittainy. Wednesday, we have special guest speaker session bringing fresh insight and perspective. Thursday are the Heart Talk replay days available to the inner circle. This is a chance to catch up or revisit what hit home for you. And then Friday, we have our live Q&A sessions, which also are available to the inner circle. And this is a space for connection, clarity, and real conversation. Now, I have two final reminders before I go. One, anything that you share in the live chat will remain in the replay. If something feels too personal or you prefer some privacy, then you can always email us at tdftribe@gmail.com. We're always here for you to support you with care and discretion. And then lastly, we have individual and small group sessions available with our TDF-approved therapist, Tommy Burrell. For more information on those sessions, email Tommy Burrell at info@tburrellcounseling.com. And that's it. Thank you for being here, and thank you for choosing yourself and doing the work, even when it's hard. We are so grateful for each and every one of you. And now, let's get into today's session.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to the Daily Fix. Today is Tuesday, February the 10th. I am so excited that you guys are here. Today is our open to the public session. So that means we are live on TikTok. We're live on Instagram. Oh, wait, I should start the Instagram. Okay, hold on. So y'all know I got like 3 or 4 screens open right now. So I'm toggling between them all. But yes, now we are up on Instagram, we are up on TikTok. On YouTube, we have our TDF tribe on the YouTube. Okay. I love our public sessions because it allows us to show the world what we do every day in the Daily Fix. So if you guys follow me and you love listening to my messages, you love, the gems that you get online through the Heart Talks videos, then you're going to want to join the Daily Fix because the Daily Fix helps you take your growth to the next level. It's like self-paced therapy, okay? When you join, you get access to over 300 videos of content where I am teaching on different topics. So it doesn't matter what you're working on. If you're working on relationships, if you're working on communication, emotional control, whatever you're working on, I have covered it in the Daily Fix. So join the tribe. I'll put up the QR code now. Okay, I'll put it up now, and then we're going to hop into our content for today. So for everyone who's a part of the tribe, you guys know the deal. We have been working all year, January and February. We have been centering our energy on preparing ourselves for what 2026 is going to be. We talked about the first quarter of the year is always where we're calibrating, okay? We're trying to make sure that we have a good foundation to build upon, all right? You don't want to sprint out the gate of, the new year, and then you start building and then things topple over because you didn't have a foundation, you didn't have systems. All right. So this month we have been talking about implementing your systems. Right now we are on the second day of the 28-day challenge. All right. I hope you got your tracker. I hope everybody has been checking off their boxes. Let me know in the chat, how has the challenge been going? We're on day 2. We only got, we're only on the second day. So let me know if those morning routines have been working, if those nighttime routines have been working. But we're going to be checking in all month to see how you guys are doing with implementing the new systems. All right. So let's hop into our conversation on today. All right, all right, all right. Good morning, Instagram. All right, so y'all are in for a session. If you thought you were just going to join this morning and be able to listen, comfortably, I'm sorry about what's about to happen, because I had my good coffee this morning. And so we're ready to do some work. So in the chat, if you're ready to do some work, say, I'm ready. Okay, I didn't know I was tuning into a therapy session, but I am ready. Tune into the therapy session today. Okay, let me see where it is so hard to navigate this many screens, y'all. Okay. I'm okay, it's a lot going on. All right, I see the I'm ready. I see the I'm ready. Very good. All right, TikTok is ready. Instagram is ready. And I see my YouTube folks. Y'all are ready. Okay. So the conversation I want to have with you guys today is one that I actually really enjoy. Let me see if I can shrink this. Okay. I'm just gonna have to go because I can't see all the screens at once. I need a second screen. That's what I need. I need a second screen. I gotta work on that. Okay. So the conversation that I want to have with you guys today is going to piggyback off of the conversation that we had yesterday morning. So, if you were with us yesterday, then you guys know that I started to talk about the idea and the mindset of trying to do it all. That when we grow up in certain environments, we become hyper independent and we adapt to the idea that I can do it all. I should do it all. I'm the only one who can do it. Right. And we talked about how that over time will burn you out. Okay, you'll be somewhere sad, angry, depressed, and resentful because I've been in dynamics where relationships have been one sided. I've been in dynamics where my needs have not been getting met because I have been tricking myself and the world into believing that I can be Superman and Superwoman, and that's not true. All right. So today, the conversation that I want to have is about your nervous system. Okay. If there is anything that is going to set you back this year, it will be a deregulated nervous system. Okay? Hear me. If there is anything that's going to set you back this year, it'll be your nervous system. I want you to think about all the times that you said, okay, I'm going to eat right. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to save money. I'm going to be a better parent. I'm going to be more patient. I'm going to be more kind. Every time you set a goal, and you got set back on that goal, I promise you, you can track it back to I fell off because of how I felt, right? So I stopped going to the gym because I was tired. I stopped eating right because I was emotionally eating sugar, right? I went off on someone because I was mad. So if we look at all the times where we weren't able to keep our word to ourselves, it always tracks back to how we feel. So that means if you don't know how to navigate your nervous system, if you don't know how to regulate your regulator, then you will always be in a place where you are reacting to life. You're reacting to what's going on around you, and you're not actually in control. So, my goal this morning is going to be to give you guys some knowledge. I want to give you some working knowledge about your nervous system, especially since today's a public session. I know everybody may not be up to speed on what the nervous system is and how it governs our behavior. And then I'm going to tell you some things to do. All right. Y'all know I'm very practical. So I'm going to give you some background and then I'm going to tell you what to do to help have a more balanced nervous system. I want to start it off by saying, okay, Your nervous system is supposed to move, okay? Think of your nervous system like a heart monitor line. When you look at a heart monitor, it's constantly moving. It's constantly up and down, constantly up and down. When the heart monitor flatlines, it's because you're dead, right? So as a human being, who has a healthy relationship with their emotions, your emotions are supposed to constantly be doing like this, right? They're up and down, up and down. That is a normal nervous system. That is a healthy nervous system. The goal is, I always talk about the extremes. So when you have a nervous system that looks like this, that's good. It means things are happening. I can feel everything that's happening. I'm acknowledging everything that's happening, right? So I can feel it. But when it starts looking like this, that's the problem. Okay. So when I have these extreme highs, extreme lows, and it's frequent and it's up and down, that's where I'm out of control. That's where my emotions are more in the driving seat than I am. Okay. So it's normal. You should feel emotions. All right. I say that because in today's society, we think it's healthy to be unbothered. Unbothered, most, if nothing gets to you, that's mostly your, you shut off your emotions, you're not feeling, you're not processing, you're just bypassing, right? So we should be able to feel. This is healthy. You'll go up and you'll go down. That's healthy, but we don't want the extremes. All right, let's hop into it. Let's hop into it. I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're taking notes. All right. So having a nervous system that is regulated is going to be the infrastructure that you need this year. All right. In order for me to be successful in anything I want to do this year, I have to have a nervous system that is regulated. For the year of arrival, you guys know 2026 is the year of arrival, which means we are arriving into our identities. We are arriving into who we want to be. We're not testing it out anymore. We're clear about who we want to be, and we're showing up in the world that way, right? So that means that in order for me to be successful in the year of arrival, I have to be able to have a clear vision all year. I can't, this is not a year where I can allow myself to go confused for long amounts of time. I got to have a clear vision. I have to be clear about what's my responsibility and what's not my responsibility. I have to be able to make decisions quickly and feel confident about my decisions. Okay. And I have to have an emotional presence that allows me to feel good along with the bad, but I have a healthy emotional presence. That's everything that I need in the year of arrival. And I need to be able to sustain that all year. And in order for me to be able to sustain that, it means that I have to have a nervous system that is working, it's healthy, but it's not going to unconsciously sabotage me. Okay? It's not going to unconsciously sabotage me. The first step to having a healthy nervous system is awareness. Are you even aware of the current state of your nervous system? Okay. Think about your car. When you get in your car and you turn it on, your car gives you lights. I promise y'all I know how to work my car, but it gives you lights, right? And if your car gives you all these lights, like if your check engine light comes on, if the water pressure light comes on, if the heat, whatever the lights are, right? It gives you these indicators, right? My nervous system, if I am aware of my nervous system, then I am aware of what lights, what indicators are coming on that lets me know if I'm exhausted, if I'm reactive, if I'm angry, if I'm bitter. I should have lights coming on, just like the dashboard on your car, that lets you know where you are. That's if you're aware. If you're not aware, you just driving around waiting for, you're going to hit the wrong bump. And before you know it, the car breaks down. All right. What most people don't understand about your nervous system is that having a healthy nervous system does not mean that you are calm all the time. A lot of people think that to have a healthy nervous system, it means that I'm calm, I'm grounded, and I don't have any type of emotional spikes. But that's not a regulated nervous system, right? A regulated nervous system means that I can be activated, meaning I can feel an intense emotion. I can be triggered. I can be upset. I can be sad. I can feel an intense emotion without panicking or going into unhealthy sabotaging behavior. Okay. It means that I can allow myself to slow down without the guilt overtaking my rest. It means that I can allow myself to rest when I know I need rest instead of overworking and going into collapse, right? Having a healthy nervous system means that I can experience emotional intensity without dysregulating. Okay, if you take away nothing else, I need you to take that away. A healthy nervous system says that I can experience discomfort, I can experience upset, I can experience heavy emotions without dysregulating. So that means I can be angry or I can be sad and I'm not going to go into emotional eating. I can be upset, I can feel lonely, and I'm not going to call that unhealthy X. So I can feel the emotion, but I'm not dysregulated. That's when you know that you have a healthy emotional regulation system. All right? And that's the goal. So the goal this year is not for you to never feel emotions, or it's not for you to have intense emotions, not for you to get upset. We're going to get upset. You're human. You're going to feel these emotions. But the emotions should not be so intense to where they are winning. You're dysregulated and you're sabotaging or you're hurting yourself or others. That's when the emotion has overtaken. All right. For the year of arrival, you guys, we're going to have to, um, this is not a year for impulsive behavior. Okay. This is not a year for impulsive behavior. Can we be spontaneous? Yes. Can we be adventurous? Yes. So when I say impulsivity, I mean making decisions without really thinking them through, right? I'm just doing it based on how I feel. Ah, sounds like a good idea. I guess I'll do it, right? But I haven't looked at whether or not it's in alignment. I haven't looked at whether or not this is going to help me. I'm just doing it because I think it'll make me feel better. That's what I mean by impulsivity. This year is not a year for impulsive decisions. This is a year for strategic decisions, okay? And strategic decisions backed by my intuition or my discernment. That's what we're looking for, right? This is the year where we're going to feel a lot of pressure to build the things that we want to build in our lives, but we're not going to shut down because of the pressure. All right. And this is the year where we're going to have to be consistent without burning out. In order for me to be consistent without burning out, it means I have to pace myself. And this is why we're talking about pacing your nervous system. Okay. All right. Let's hop in. So, our nervous system, m- most of us, our nervous system is deregulated because we learned how to move quickly before we learned how to move safely. So many people were taught how to move fast because life most times is very urgent, right? We have to get things done. We got to go on to the next thing. So we were taught how to move on really quickly. This is why a lot of people don't process their emotions, because we were taught how to get over stuff quickly. We were taught how to move through things quickly. We weren't really taught how to prevent harm. We weren't taught how to be safe. So we were focused on just surviving the moment. And when we're focused on surviving, we equate survival with movement. So we're always in movement. We're always moving quickly without really asking myself, is this a safe movement? Right? So speed becomes protective. After a while, we equate speed with protection. But speed, most times, is the reason why we struggle to resolve conflict, um, why we ignore red flags or we ignore certain data points that give us more information on the right decision. We make a lot more mistakes that have heavy consequences. And we equate slowing down to being unsafe or being overlooked or unprotected. Okay. So, all in all, most of our nervous systems were deregulated at a very young age because we thought moving quickly meant I was safe. All right. Now, fixing this, of course, requires slowing down. Right? It requires slowing down. And slowing down feels vulnerable a lot of times because what if slowing down means I lose? people, places, or things, right? If I don't work as much, I won't make as much money. If I don't go as hard, I won't be as visible. If I don't do these things, I won't get certain things. So sometimes we equate slowing down to losing something or being inadequate in some way, right? So for many people, stillness is going to feel uncomfortable. It may even feel threatening, depending on what lifestyle you come from. Slowing down also invites silence. And if you haven't solidified a relationship with self, silence can be very uncomfortable. Um, so, regulating your nervous system does require you to slow down. And I'm going to give you steps to do that in a minute. But I want us to understand that safety and speed are not, they're not connected. They're not a direct connection. Okay. But it takes time to unlearn that. Okay. So, I want to talk about the behavioral signs that your nervous system is limiting you. Okay. How do I know if my current nervous system, the way I'm regulated right now, how do I know if it's helping me or hurting me? Okay. First and foremost, it's not about what you feel, it's about your patterns. So if I want to know where my nervous system is, look at your behavior. Look at your behavior. The first sign that you know that your nervous system is probably dysregulated is if you're working on a project or if you're working on something, or even if you're working on being in a relationship, you can be consistent and steady and you make progress for a certain amount of time. And then without notice, you just ghost it. You disappear, you put it down, you walk away. So you'll be consistent for bursts of time, right? Think of it like a sprint. When I'm sprinting, I can only sprint for so long before I lose my stamina. So when my nervous system is overloaded or under threat or just going unexamined, you can be really good for a short amount of times before you burn out. And when you burn out, you just quietly back away. You don't say much, you don't announce it. You just, hey, I'm a just bow out real quick. And then you go and you recoup and then you come back. Now, depending on what it is, if it's just a hobby, that's fine. But if this is your job, if this is, God forbid, you're an entrepreneur, if this is your pattern in relationships, this is going to make it very difficult for you to be consistent in anything in your life to actually see real results, right? So the first behavior is that you are inconsistent with your progress. Okay. The second sign that you know that your nervous system is deregulated is that you create urgency even when things are stable. So even when things are going well, you move throughout your life like things are still moving at this quick pace and you have to move and I got to go and I got to get stuff done. And you will create urgency where there is no urgency. So you'll start creating deadlines. You'll start creating end goals. You'll start creating this false sense of urgency, all so that you don't have to slow down and be settled. So typically, I used to have a supervisor like this. Oh my gosh. It was my I think my second job out of college, and sweet lady, okay? But when I tell you every time I interacted with her, I could feel my anxiety coming up because she everything was a problem. Like everything was a urgent matter. When we would walk, she would walk really quickly, and she would talk fast, and we would be talking. And she'd be like, "Well, Brittany, you got this, that, and the other." And I'm like, "Hey, everything's actually cool. Like we don't have to do this." Right? But just interacting with her would just increase my anxiety because when you create urgency where there is none, everyone around you feels it. And they start avoiding you after a while. They really do. Okay. You overthink things once the momentum starts to build. All right. And this is for people who, things are going well, it's moving in the direction you want it to go into. And then now all of a sudden you start doubting yourself. Like, okay, well maybe it was just a fluke. Maybe I just got lucky. Maybe this. And you start overthinking it, despite the fact that what you've been doing is working. It's fine. It's good, right? But If my nervous system can't settle in good, I will overthink it and start to create issues that aren't there, right? You start to feel restless when things get calm. You become hypervigilant. You start looking for where's the next threat coming from. And then you sabotage consistency with distraction. Okay. You will sabotage your consistency with distraction. You will purposely go find other things to distract you from what you should be doing. Okay. So most times, I wanted to say this because most times when people come to me and they say, well, I'm not consistent, I don't follow through, I don't stay committed, and you look at it as if there is a behavior problem. But the behavior problem is only showing the nervous system problem. Okay. It's not necessarily your behavior that's the issue. So this is why it don't matter how many planners you buy, how many timers you set. If your nervous system is dysregulated, you're never going to overcome what's going on internally to get a different outcome externally. So if I haven't been able to match my behavior with what my heart's intentions are, we got to start looking at the nervous system. All right. It means that you're probably dysregulated. And when we're dysregulated, especially for an extended amount of time, we're constantly trying to find or create safety. And that's where the behavior comes from, right? I start emotionally eating because I'm trying to create emotional safety. So it's not the behavior that has to be corrected, because most times we know what behavior and this is how you know when you say, I know what I'm supposed to do, I just don't do it. Right? When you say, I know what I should be doing, because most times it's not that you don't know what you need to do, but I can't force my body to do something when internally there's a tornado happening. Right? So we have to calm the tornado so that my behavior, I'm not fighting myself trying to get the behavior that I want. Okay. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Okay, let's go into my systems. Here's your action steps. Okay. In the chat, let me know. Do you think you have a dysregulated nervous system? Let me just hear the yes or the no, or we can even put sometimes, because some days are better than others. Okay, some days are better than others. All right, Yasmin, I'm about to give you the tips. Okay, so in the chat, tell me, do you think you have a dysregulated nervous system? Okay, does this also relate to not cleaning your space? Absolutely. When you stop cleaning, most times you're shutting down. It's sensory overload, and I can see what needs to be done. I'm too overwhelmed to do it. Okay. Very good. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of yeses. Somebody said all the time, and it's getting worse. Okay. Sometimes. Okay. Okay. She says from childhood trauma, that plays a big deal. She said, I have more than one planner. Yes. It don't matter how many planners you have. Okay. Total opposite. Now you can be dysregulated and busy. Busy is just your coping skill. She said a sometimes type of person, 70%. And I love the percentage because it's not always a black and white, right? Sometimes it is, I'm 20% dysregulated, or I'm 40% dysregulated, I'm 80% dysregulated. So sometimes putting a percentage on it helps you see how far you are before we need to intervene, especially at the end of the week. Okay. Scrolling on social media is sabotage. It's your brain's way of checking out while still feeling productive. All right, y'all. So I see a lot of dysregulated. Can I first, before I tell you what to do, can I first normalize for you that I said it yesterday on our call yesterday, that what we forget is that we are living in a society that has become very individualistic, where we used to be a society that was very collective. In collective cultures, typically there's a community that is helping with everything, right? So when I live in a collective culture, most times, the community is helping raise the kids. The community is helping, get the house or the dinners. Like back in the day, this is why people had so many children. Okay. The reason, I'm gonna get on my soapbox, but the reason why people were having 17, 18, 20 kids was because the more children I had, the more community we were building to build a family and build a legacy. We don't have that anymore. So most of us are trying to do the work of a community with only one or two people, right? And this is why we are constantly overwhelmed. We don't feel supported. We always feel like there's more stuff to get done than what we actually have time for, right? And I want to normalize that in the world we live in today, don't even talk about what's going on in society right now. Like, we are overwhelmed. And then you add social media that is a constant bombardment of stuff, right? I shouldn't know as much as I know about everything. Okay. I don't need to know everything that's going on in the world. I don't want to know it all. Right. And so being overstimulated, being overwhelmed, being overbooked, there's just so much going on and so much that we have to show up for. So I want to normalize that if you feel like I am dysregulated, don't look at it as a personal failure. For everything going on in this world today, it makes sense that you're dysregulated. Okay? It makes sense that you're regulated. Okay. So let's talk about what to do with it. Let's talk about what to do. You ready? I'm going to give you a few different systems that will help you regulate your nervous system. Now, for everyone who's just joining, I've been talking about systems all year. But a system is a thing, it's structure that I put in place to help me thrive in different areas of my life. Okay. So a system is a thing that I put in place to help me thrive. Over time, once I've implemented a system and I do it religiously, over time, that system is going to protect me without me putting any effort into it. Okay. So the example I always give, my system in the morning, wait, get out of bed. First thing I'm gonna do is go to the restroom, turn on the lights, brush my teeth, right? That is a system. I don't think about it, it just happens. There's no energy for me to make that happen. It's something that I do without even thinking. So when you build systems and you do it religiously over time, it stops being a habit. It's just a way of life. And because it's a healthy system, it's working, regulate me without me putting any effort into it. All right. So let's talk about what I want you guys to do. So the first system is we need an emotional recovery system. We need an emotional recovery system. What most people do is they will work, they will expand, they will stretch, they will do all these amazing things that they do with their life, and they will do it until they become exhausted and collapse. And then once they've collapsed, now they will start going into recovery when they've been forced to go into recovery. So when your body shuts down, or when you pass out from exhaustion, or when your body's dehydrated, or when you get migraines. So most people will just continue pushing themselves until something happens and they are forced to go into recovery. That's the cycle that most people are in. I expand until I pop. It's like a balloon. You blow that balloon up and then the balloon pops. And then you go, maybe I need some rest. Maybe I need a therapy appointment. Maybe I need, no. We're ending that cycle today. We're ending this cycle today. Okay. The emotional recovery system is intentional emotional recovery that prevents my breakdown. It's intentional emotional recovery that prevents my breakdown. If I'm being intentional about my recovery, then it's less likely that I'm actually going to break down. So let's put this in gym terms, right? I work out 4 to 5 days a week, right? Could I work out 7 days? Absolutely. I mean, we're going to leave that there. Okay. So let's say I work out 5 days a week. Those 2 days that I'm not working out, I'm not stressed. I'm not like, oh my gosh, I wish I was at the gym. Oh my gosh, you're wasting your time. Because I have learned that the days that I'm not in the gym are the days that my body is actually recovering. Recovering is a part of the workout. Recovering is just as valuable. Otherwise, if I work out 7 days a week for, let's say, 30 days, at some point, something is going to snap, something is going to break, something is going to bulge, something is going to be pushed past its limit in a way that I no longer can operate. That's the breakdown, right? So when you're like that balloon that's expanding, it means that you're taking on more than what you can bear. You are focusing on being seen, not necessarily being felt. And you are stretching past your capacity. When I say focusing on being seen instead of being felt, because we live in a culture right now that it's all about product, it's all about what you produce. Everybody wants that highlight reel to put on Instagram and TikTok and show, hey, look, this is what I did. So because we focus on being able to post something, being able to be seen, we focus on the production, and then we act as if what's going on behind the scenes isn't just as important. What happens when you're not being seen is just as important as what happens when you are being seen, right? So, recovery means number one, we have to integrate recovery into our life. I have to integrate methods of recovery into my life. I have to give my nervous system time to settle, especially if I am experiencing intense emotional peaks. Okay. So if I got into an argument with my significant other and it's been a crazy work week and the kids have to go to school and my parents have needed some stuff, if I know that I've had a lot of intense emotional interactions that week, then that means that I'm probably going to say, you know what, this weekend I'm going to turn off everything and give my nervous system time to reset. That's the intention I'm talking about. When I am aware of where my nervous system is, if I know that I've had a very reactive week and things have been heavier than normal, I'm probably not processing in the moment. So when I am intentional, it says that I can feel where I am and say, you know what? I know I had all of these plans and I had a birthday party to go to and I had this to, but instead of doing those things, I'm actually going to carve out time of my weekend, my month, my year, whatever. And I'm going to do something that pours into me, even if it's just being still. Okay. Recovery is not just resting. So going to sleep is not recovery. Taking a nap is not recovery. It feels good. I love my naps, right? But naps alone is not recovery. Sleep alone is not recovery. Recovery is when I'm sitting with myself, allowing my body to register, taking inventory of everything that I've been feeling, everything that hasn't had a chance to come to the surface. It's allowing emotions that I haven't had time to process to come to the surface. It's sitting with those things, dealing with them, looking at them, and allowing myself to find a conclusion so that I don't keep carrying them with me. All right. Now, the reason why I said recovery has to be integrated is because most people can't just say, hey, I'm going to Costa Rica next week. Okay. Now, I might do it. It's been on my mind to go to Costa Rica. But most of us just can't say, I'm hopping on a plane and just leaving, right? Because we have responsibilities, we got people to take care of, right? So most times we can't separate our recovery, which means we have to integrate it. I want you guys to find 2 to 3 things to integrate into your week that gives you emotional recovery. Okay. Is that quiet time before bedtime? Is that social interaction? Because keep in mind, recovery doesn't always have to happen by yourself. Sometimes recovery happens with the people that I love. Am I making time to go be around the people that I love? Am I doing things that fill me up and light me up? So, am I putting, when we're dating people, we put a date night on the calendar every week. Do you have your own date night on the calendar just for you? Right? So, integrating recovery means that I don't have to pause my life in order for recovery to take place. Recovery is integrated into my life so that I don't have to keep chasing it. It's on my calendar the same way everything else is on my calendar. All right. So somebody said in the chat, fasting and prayer, that's a part of their recovery. right? Talking to a trusted friend, that's a part of their recovery. Going to therapy, that's a part of recovery. Eating foods that feel good to me, that are healthy for me, not hurtful to me, that's a part of recovery. All right. Stretching my body is a part of recovery. For me, being in sunlight is a part of recovery. I love being in sunlight. It is a part of recovery to my soul. Being in nature is a part of recovery for me. There's times where I just have to get out of the city. That's a part of recovery, right? So, do you know what things fuel you? What things fill me up? And then how am I integrating those things into my week every week? All right. So, number one, create a system for emotional recovery. Two, the second thing that you can do to regulate your nervous system is to be mindful of the pace of your nervous system. Sometimes, being ambitious is not the problem. I know many of us have a lot of lofty goals. We want to accomplish a lot of things. We get excited about our visions and our dreams and our purpose, and we want to chase those things. What I have learned is that most times it's not our goals it's not chasing the goal that's actually the issue. What I have found that we become the most dysregulated because there's no transition from one goal to the next. That the minute that we accomplish one thing, we are ready for the next thing. All right. We are on to the next. We are talking about the next thing. We're focused on what's the next thing going to be. So we move from one goal to the next goal to the next goal to the next goal without any real transition between the two. So dysregulation can happen when we're jumping from task to task, thing to thing. And these could be good things, right? Because you'll see people who, go from being single to in a relationship to married with the baby. They got the new house, they got the new job, and all of these great things are happening. And even good things come with their own amount of stress. We call it good stress, right? They come with their own amount of responsibilities, they come with their own amount of frustrations. And if I'm not mindful that even the good things can dysregulate me, and I'm just going from one thing to the one thing to the one thing without no real transitions, overwhelm will ensue. Okay. What I've also found when we talk about pace is this idea that we have to respond to things immediately. That if something pops up, I need to deal with it right now. I got to take care of it right now, right? They got that saying, don't go to bed mad. That's actually not true. There's no factual data that supports that. Go to bed. Okay. um and moving without pausing, right? We should have a system that slows us down enough to make our transitions. Um, I think of it like if I'm driving a car, anytime we're driving a car and I'm turning on another street, you have to slow down before you make the turn. Otherwise, you could probably flip the car. Don't ask me how I know. You could probably flip the car, lose control of the car, but I have to slow down my pace so that I can turn safely, right? And when we are going through different transitions in our lives, if I'm going from one job to another, going from single to relationship, going from one baby to two babies, that is a huge transition that deserves a pause. In the pause, I get to do a few things. I get to decide who I want to be in this transition. I get to decide what support do I need. Yesterday, we talked about that. If I'm going into this new thing in my life, if it's a new job, a new family, a new obligation, a new business, what support do I need that's going to help me be successful over here? All right. So we have to pause. How do I want to show up? How do I want to respond? What support do I need? Can I even name the emotions that I feel right now? Right. And for many of you, can I celebrate the success of what I just accomplished before I start trying to accomplish something else? Can I just enjoy what I just did before we start planning something else? All right. When we finished Heart Talks last year, I love my team. Okay. But we're literally getting on the plane to come home. We haven't even left the city. We were in New York. We haven't even left New York yet. Okay. And my team is like, okay, let's talk about next year, what we're going to do for 2026. And I said, oh, wait, no, hold on. Wait a minute. We haven't even celebrated finishing a nationwide tour before you're already wanting to discuss what the no. I said, we're going to sit in this moment and we are going to enjoy what we just did. We're going to enjoy the wins. We're going to mourn the losses. We are going to sit in this moment and be grounded in this moment before we move on to the next. Right? We got to be mindful of how quickly we're transitioning because that will have you dysregulated, even if the things that are happening are good things. Right? So set your pace. Create a system that allows you to pause. I've given y'all this phrase all month. Give me a moment. I'll get back to you on that. That is my favorite phrase. When I need to pause, give me 48 hours. Let me think it over. Let me breathe. Let me become clear with how I want to respond. Every transition does not need an immediate rebuttal. Every problem does not need an immediate response. Give it some time to breathe. Give yourself time to breathe. All right. That way, I'm not saying things I don't mean. I'm not committing to things I really don't want to do. I'm not giving people yeses when I really want to say no. That pausing period gives me time to ground myself. All right. So create, especially for the people who have a hard time saying no, you need a pacing system. Pace yourself. Do not, I always say, especially when someone's asking for something, don't never give an answer right away. I always say, hey, give me 2 days, give me 3 weeks, give me a week to think about it. I'll get back to you. Okay. Never say yes in the moment. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna give y'all one more before we get out of here. Okay, this is the one I want to give you. I want you guys to start building a tolerance system. Okay. A tolerance system. This is important, especially when we talk about the year of arrival, because most times, especially in mental health therapy, when we talk about tolerance, a lot of times you guys will hear me talk about tolerance in the forms of tolerating things that are dysfunctional or tolerating things that we don't have to tolerate, right? And of course, I want you to stop that. I want you to stop tolerating broken things. I want you to stop tolerating things that don't work. I want you to stop tolerating things that don't work in your favor, right? But there are some things that I want you to learn how to tolerate. And this is where I feel the conversation online when we talk about mental health, this is the direction, because I think when people learned about mental health in general and it became popular and everybody's posting it online, there was this wave of, if it don't serve me, if it hurts my feelings, or there was this huge rebellion of, if it don't feel good, don't do it, basically. And in many instances, that is a healthy response to things that, hurt me or harm me, right? But when it became overgeneralized, people began to use it as a scapegoat to not show up in their lives in the places that actually stretch me for the good. So they learned to avoid discomfort by using, therapy talk. I'm setting boundaries. No, you're avoiding conflict. I'm protecting my peace. No, you're ghosting people. Right. So instead of actually learning how to become a better communicator, how to be honest about how I feel, how to lean into vulnerability instead of running away, instead of doing the things that were hard and uncomfortable, we then protected ourselves with these words that stopped us from growing. So, what I want us to do is to begin Building a tolerance system for being uncomfortable, especially in the places that I need to be uncomfortable in order to grow. So that means that in my tolerance system, I am purposely exposing myself to things that stretch me and it feels uncomfortable. And I want to yell and I want to scratch. Like I feel like, I just want to throw up and I get the nerves and I get the butterflies. I want you to feel all of that stuff. And I want you to constantly press forward into those situations that feel uncomfortable so that you grow. So, our tolerance system is teaching us how to feel the discomfort that comes with the things that I want in my life, right? When I was learning to become a better leader, and I got the promotion that I didn't ask for into leadership. And so I would go into the meetings and I would always just be so quiet. I wouldn't say anything. One, because I didn't want to say the wrong thing. I didn't want, to be called out because, we had a cutthroat director at the time. I was like, hey, I just need to, stay under the radar, right? Just stay under the radar. So I would go to the meetings and I would just be quiet. And then I had to call myself on it and say, Brittany, how do you think you're going to grow in this company? How do you think you're going to lead a team? And you walk into this room every day and you're hiding. You're hiding behind your silence and you call it being agreeable and you call it being a team player and you call it, being supportive when really you're just hiding because you're afraid that you're inadequate in some way or you're afraid that you don't know the right answer or you're just afraid you don't add value to this room, right? I had to have those hard conversations with myself and say, now that I know the truth behind my behavior, what do I want to do instead? We don't voice our truths just to beat us up, just to beat yourself up. That's not the purpose of the truth. The purpose of telling yourself the truth of what you do and why you do it is so that I can be aware of the unhealthy behavior and then choose how I want to respond instead. Okay. So the system that I implemented, I said every time that you go into a leadership meeting, you are required to ask a minimum of one question. I held myself accountable. I said every meeting you go into, you will ask a question. It don't matter if it's an easy answer, it don't matter if it's an obvious answer, it didn't matter. The purpose, the system is you do the system so that you get used to feeling uncomfortable, right? So I would go into the room and all the whole meeting, like I'm nervous, I'm just waiting, okay, when you gonna ask a question? When you gonna ask a question? When you gonna ask a question, right? And then I would ask the question. And when you ask the question, you feel the heat and your palms start sweating and you stutter a little bit and you may not say the word exactly right. And it didn't come out perfect, but you got it out. Right. And then you get used to that. So after a while, and I kept asking questions, after a while, I no longer felt uncomfortable asking questions. After a while, it became easy for me to ask questions. After a while, you couldn't get me to shut up. Right? After a while, I was no longer asking questions, I was giving input. I was giving advice. I was giving advisement, right? So the tolerance, the discomfort tolerance system here is what systems are you putting in place that constantly expose you to the bigger parts of who you are and who you want to be. You do not just jump out of your comfort zone and say, I'm here. You slowly pace yourself into this new version of you. So when I'm clear about who I want to be, you have to put a system in place to say, okay, you want to be a content creator, cool. You're going to post a video 3 times a week. You want to be, the best barber in your city. Okay, cool. You're going to go to barber meetups. I don't know, y'all. But the purpose here is you have to put yourself in the situations that you don't feel qualified in. Get used to how uncomfortable it feels. Get used to how small you feel. Get used to how embarrassment feels. And then feel the embarrassment, walk out of the room and say, I survived. Right? Because what most of us learn is that no matter what you are afraid of, no matter what you're fearful of, whatever, no matter what inadequacy you have, you will survive the moment. And that's what you have to prove to your nervous system. Your nervous system has to know that I can feel embarrassment and not run away. I can feel fear and still stay engaged. I can feel inadequate and still be brilliant in the moment. That's what we're teaching our nervous systems when we are putting ourselves in high tolerance situations. Okay? So the last system I want you guys is to create a system of emotional tolerance that's going to help me train myself to be in uncomfortable situations and still show up. That's what we're doing. Okay? That is what we're doing. Absolutely. Someone just said it. So the meeting or question isn't important, but you're saying to speak up as a practice. Exactly. The question that I asked didn't matter. Because the question was just the behavior. I was trying to get into the behavior of doing it and feeling uncomfortable doing it. So the question or the input didn't actually matter. But what did matter was that I did the behavior and I felt how uncomfortable the behavior felt. Because hear me, as a therapist, okay, now the daily fix, y'all know y'all get it hard from me. But what my hope is that as people, a true sign of emotional growth, we can no longer use our emotions as reasons why we didn't show up or we didn't perform. It's no longer, but I felt this way. And that's the truth coming from a therapist. But I felt this way is not an excuse. It's not a valid excuse for us to not show up. Because the real answer is I felt this way. I didn't know how to regulate my emotions, and that's why I sabotaged, or that's why I didn't show up, or that's why I was inconsistent. What you felt is information, it's data, it's giving me, context. But what I felt didn't make the decision. I made the decision because I did not have good emotional regulation skills that would have allowed me to show up differently. All right. So, to everybody joining, you have just been a part of the Daily Fix. The Daily Fix is my live morning meetup program. I have an entire section on emotional regulation because the people who have been a part of the Daily Fix, we've gone through emotional regulation. We go through it every year. But I do a deep dive on specific emotions: fear, anger, betrayal, guilt, um, grief. We cover these emotions so that you know how to feel them, how to identify them, and most importantly, what to do with them. When you join the Daily Fix, you get access to those sessions and you can go back and watch those. Um, I always say, join the Daily Fix if you're in a place where you're like, I need the information so that I can make a new decision. Most times, especially when you're going to therapy, the Daily Fix sessions will help you become more self aware, but then we also give you the new behavior, right? So now that I'm aware that I am short with people, or I'm not the best leader, or I'm not as loving, I don't access my emotions well. Okay, cool. Now that you're aware, what can I do about it? All right. And so when you join the Daily Fix, you get access to over three years of sessions, y'all. 3 years. That's a lot of sessions. So no matter what you're struggling with, you'll be able to find something that'll help point you in the right direction. So come on over to the Daily Fix. We are some great people. I'd love to have you. All right. And we do a live question and answer every Friday. So if you have a question for me specifically, I can answer that for you every Friday. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed the Daily Fix. Um, this replay will be available on my YouTube. So I'm going to post it on my YouTube. You'll be able to watch it after this session, after we finish. So you'll be able to go back if you missed some stuff. Okay. Take notes, implement the new behavior. Okay. Implement the new behavior. Okay. So I want y'all to have an amazing, amazing Tuesday. To all my Daily Fix fam, I will see you guys back here tomorrow. Have a tremendous Tuesday. All right. I'll talk.